Well, it's certainly true that there are in France, as we maybe will soon see, in Germany and Italy and Hungary and Poland. It's certainly true that there are many reactions, negative reactions uh, to the regulatory, overreach of the EU and of the European Commission in particular. So I think there's going to be a reaction to that. Draghi, who was the former central banker for the European Central Bank, just came out with a report sort of explaining that the European Union economy was essentially sclerotic and was really in bad shape. Unfortunately, his recommendations were to do even more of
Ugh,
the top-down thinking
yeah,
that the Commission tends to like. So we liked his diagnosis, but we didn't like the medicine he was prescribing. Well, exactly, a central
right.
banker, with their sort of proposals, but they clearly need to delegate a lot more. They need to go back to their original principle of subsidiarity, which meant that you push decision making down to as local as you can make it. They need to go back to this. They've sucked a lot of that decision making from member states into the European Commission, and it's created this backlash. I mean, the EU has gone through a number of evolutions. I mean, if you look at the EU in the 1970s and the 1980s, and even in the 1990s, I would argue that the European rules were, driving member states towards more pro-competitive markets and towards more open trade and so forth. And they were you can see there was a value to the EU in that,
Right.
particularly these accession countries that came in the 2000s. They improved tremendously as a result
Right.
of that accession to the EU. But since 2000, I think the EU's gone in the opposite direction. A lot of the environmental rules and so forth from the EU are the result of pretty high levels of capture of the institutions in the EU by environmental NGOs who don't seem to really think about economic growth or the well-being of people.